This is a breaking news alert from 6 News.
Well, thanks for staying up with us. We're following some breaking news as the Spartans of Michigan State return home. Fresh from their victory over Duke to secure a place in the Final Four, the doors opened at the Breslin Center at 11:30 and crowds have been gathering all night. 6 Sports Director Fred Heumann is at the Breslin Center right now as well. And Fred, speaking as a Michigan State grad myself, with all those Spartan fans with you now, it must be pretty exciting out there.
Hi, Kiera. They are bracing for a party and a celebration here at the Breslin Center. Fans have been lined up here and waiting for about an hour and a half. They slayed the giant today, and now you see the players entering the stage. Well, they didn't have this back in the day when I covered Final Fours. Every player with a cell phone. And there's the trophy. Nick Ward with the Final Four trophy, hoisting it up, putting the nets, and Tom Izzo to his left hand. Tom Izzo's now here with his wife, Loopy, all smiles, and he's ready to address this crowd. As I said, they've been waiting for a couple of hours, and I'm sure Izzo will have some very kind words. A jubilant celebration here is at Breslin Center. The signature Izzo fist bump as he showed during the game today. Now let's listen to him.
I gotta admit, this is my 8th one I've gone to, but never have we had a welcoming committee like this.
I'm not athletic enough, Tom, to jump up there, but I know this is a party they'd enjoy in the UP, isn't it?
I'll come down to you.
Don't break your neck. I don't want to be responsible. They'd like this party in the UP. It's 1 in the morning.
Oh, it's awesome. It's an awesome night. I can't believe the turnout here. So much credit goes to our university and to all these students and the people from the community. This tops all, and I tell you, Fred, we did a hell of a job today. Those guys worked their tail off, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of our university.
Live here at 1 in the morning. That's a Fred first. A live shot at 1:15 in the morning. I hope it was worth it. Kiera, back to you in the studio. We'll have much more tomorrow.
A pilot, co-pilot, and 4 passengers were aboard the small TBM 700 when it went down shortly after 9 a.m. just west of Capital Region International Airport. Joining us now live from near the crash scene is our very own Dana White. She's here for you now with details just released. Dana, what did you find out?
That's right, Jorma. We've just learned that 3 people are dead and 3 in critical condition after a small plane crash here at the Capital Region International Airport. Now, if you take a look at this map behind me, this is right where the crash happened. It was right outside of airport property. You can see this yellow line. That's where the cutoff is, and it happened right here just off of Airport Road. Now, if you take a look at our scene video from earlier, it's still very active, and even now, emergency vehicles are still out there. Lansing Police, Lansing Fire, and Clinton County are all on scene. Now, as we reported, there are 6 people total on the plane, the pilot, the co-pilot, and 4 passengers. And officials tell us that it was a very hard impact, and this investigation could take days.
6 News was first on the scene and broke the story online at WLNS.com. Officials say 6 people were in the plane at the time of the crash.
6 News reporter Dana White is here for you now live from the airport. Dana, what's the latest tonight?
Lauren and Sherry, airport officials say a crash like this one hasn't happened in years. And while the plane was still mostly intact, it hit the ground hard.
Clinton County Central Dispatch to Dewey Township Fire, Bath Township Fire. You're being requested to be isolated to Delta for a plane crash.
Smoke filled the air as a small plane crashed this morning at the Capital Region International Airport.
We have 3 confirmed deaths on board. 3 others have been transported in critical condition.
Officials say the plane was traveling to Lansing from Indianapolis. There were 2 pilots on board and 4 passengers.
The identification of those on board, those deceased, is still in the process right now, and we're not going to release any names until next of kin has been notified.
I was just worried about the people inside the plane.
Bob Hull works near the airport and saw the plane right after it hit the ground.
I saw smoke coming out of the engine compartment of the plane, and I immediately thought to try to grab my fire extinguisher. I couldn't get the seat stripped forward, and then I decided it was probably best to just leave out of the area so that the emergency vehicles would be able to access it easier.
He says right now he just hopes the families of those involved can heal from this tragedy.
Right now in Michigan, there are nearly 3,000 people waiting for a life-saving organ donation.
Just one organ donor can help save up to 8 lives, and tissue donors can improve the lives of up to 75 people.
Siobhan Klepper is here for you now with the story of a family who recently decided to give the gift of life. And Siobhan, like many stories about organ donation, this one is tragic.
Yeah, it broke my heart. And as hard as it will be for the family to watch this report tonight, they know that their story can help others see that there can be light even on the darkest of days.
There's a side of me that takes comfort in knowing they're together. Because he was her world.
On the evening of March 9th, Ryan LaHaye, his wife Dana, and their 3.5-year-old son Reed were driving down westbound I-96 in Clinton County. It would be the last evening Ryan would see his family alive.
What I remember about the accident, I remember seeing the headlights come across the median, and then don't remember the impact at all.
Police say a drunk driver left the eastbound lanes and hit them head-on. When Ryan came to, it was too quiet.
I was scared because I didn't hear anything. You know, my son wasn't crying, so my first instinct was, oh my God. I could see my wife. Like the way I was pushed, I was looking right at her and she was, slumped over.
The last thing he heard from a first responder before he passed out was that his wife was likely dead. Both Ryan and Reed were rushed to Sparrow Hospital in Lansing. Ryan was badly injured and put into a medically induced coma, and Reed was on life support, but sadly showed no signs of brain activity.
We ended up sitting with a doctor looking at the test results that they did on Reed, and it was very apparent that he wasn't going to make it.
But little Reed could help others make it and give them the gift of life by donating his organs and tissue. With Ryan in a coma, it was up to Reed's grandparents.
I thought about if Reed or my other grandson, Easton, needed an organ donation. It would be devastating to have, not be able to find a donation for them. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was my final decision, was based on that.
We could see that as being the only good thing that might come from this terrible tragedy.
First, Reed was taken to his dad's room, the last time this father and son would be next to one another. Then, slowly wheeled to the operating room to save lives, as the hospital staff gathered for Reed's honor walk.
Lines up in the hallways, shoulder to shoulder, down every hallway, just showing respect for Reed. And when we walked out, it was overwhelming.
Little Reed's family, they can't change their story. Their story is tragic, but they were able to write a different story for at least 3 other families that we know of right now. Because little Reed's grandparents made the decision that they made, a 70-year-old woman, a 40-year-old man, and a 1-year-old baby girl are alive today.
Reed donated both kidneys, his liver, 3 heart valves, and tissue, and in the future could help save 2 other children as well. About a week later, Ryan was out of his coma, but soon learned his nightmare wasn't over, that his wife and son were both gone.
When I first met her, it kind of was love at first sight, but probably the most caring person I've ever met.
Good mom?
Unbelievable. That was one of the things we talked about having kids. That was always my worst fear, is like, have a child and lose it.
But the boy who was the best parts of both of them, the curious, happy boy with tons of personality and dimples that could melt anyone, is alive in others now.
There's a side of me I feel blessed to not have to have been on that. Unfortunately, it put my parents and in-laws in a really tough position, but they, I'm 100% convinced and take solace in the fact that it was 100% the right decision. I mean, there's the ability to help save others is really the most incredible thing. And I have to make sure that, my wife and son's legacy live on.
Wow. Yeah, that was tough. That was really tough to put together.
It's tough to watch.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate,
Any parent, worst nightmare.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
What happened to the driver, Siobhan, who police say is responsible for that crash?
Yeah, he's facing 5 counts, the most serious being 2 counts of operating while intoxicated causing death, and 1 count of operating while intoxicating causing serious injury. That man's name is Thomas Hahn. He's 55 years old from Illinois. If found guilty on all charges, he faces a maximum of 15 years in prison. Now, 6 News was in the courtroom for Hahn's arraignment early last month, and I spoke to his lawyer today, who says he's extremely remorseful.
Mm-hmm. So how is Ryan's recovery going, Siobhan?
Yeah, so when I spoke to him last month inside Sparrow Hospital, he told me he really hadn't even processed what had happened to him, losing his wife and his son, and he was just physically trying to recover to get himself out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. Since we talked, he has been discharged, and Sparrow did something special for him. Take a look. Yeah, he was surprised when he was discharged to see hospital staff lining the halls for him and clapping as he was wheeled to the elevator nearly 3 months after that crash. After leaving Sparrow, he was taken to Ann Arbor for rehabilitation and will likely spend 2 weeks there before he's able to go home. But he told me he doesn't know what home is anymore without his wife and son.
Right.
Sorry, I also did a separate, longer interview with Gift of Life Michigan all about the organ donation process. So if you would like to learn more, I'm going to be posting that interview very soon on our website, WLNS.com. But in the meantime, you can visit the Scene on 6 section of our website. I have a link to Gift of Life there if you have any questions or if you're willing to be a donor and want to sign up.
The Storm Tracker 6 weather team is passing their passion for weather on to the next generation. That's why they've created the Storm Tracker 6 Weather Workbook. In schools now and available free to all Mid-Michigan 3rd graders, the workbook includes crossword puzzles, experiments, word searches, and more. Combined with a teacher's guidance and the interactive online elements, the workbook will help kids understand our Great Lakes weather systems. Brought to you in part by Young Chevy of Owasso, St. John's, and Ionia, with additional support from Sylvan Learning Center.
Welcome to this Storm Tracker 6 special edition of our Weather Wednesday series. In today's segment, we're talking about lake effect. And here in Michigan, we're always talking about how the Great Lakes impact our weather, especially when it comes to winter weather and lake effect snow. So how does it form? Well, let's take a look.
Welcome to this special edition of our Weather Wednesday series. In today's segment, we are covering air pressure. We talk about that frequently in our weathercast. So what exactly is it? Well, here we are at the surface of the Earth. Now, if it wasn't for gravity, of course, we would float in outer space, but so would the air surrounding us. So gravity, it holds us down to the surface of the Earth, but it's also pulling on the atmosphere above. It's pulling air molecules which have weight towards the surface of the Earth.
There are different types of precipitation, but they all form in the same way, and they all have to start with a condensation nuclei. This is within our cloud. It's so small that we can't even see it with our eyes. But this nucleus, it's going to travel around in the cloud. And it's not going to be in any one particular spot, because as it's around the cloud, it's going to pick up layer and layer and layer of water over top, and eventually it's going to become so big and so heavy that it falls to the ground, and that's where we see it in a form of precipitation.
A winter blast pounds mid-Michigan, prompting snow emergencies and closing schools, businesses, and government offices across our state. It is our top story at 5, and we're starting tonight here in the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist David Young, and we are covering all angles of the storm, from the current conditions and the roads to where you can go to get warm. Certainly been quite a day, hasn't it been, David?
Yeah, a blast of winter weather across the area, and we're not really done with this system just yet. Satellite radar shows the first round of snow now moving east, but there's a little bit more to the west that's going to move through tonight, which will top off these accumulations, maybe another inch or so in spots. So that's what we have to look forward to. You could see some of that snow developing near Chicago. The roads not doing too well. In fact, that is where we find our own meteorologist Jim Geyer out and about, keeping a track on the roads today. Jim, where are you? How are things looking?
127. I just passed I-69, heading northward now. We're going to go up towards St. John's and see what the amounts are up there, because we were expecting heavier snowfall totals up that way. You can see right now I'm on the right side of a two-lane road on the expressway here. We've got a pretty good lane in the right and a not-so-good one on the left. It's been pretty much this way for miles now. And even when it looks dry, there is a little bit of iciness to the road that looks clear. So if you're heading out this evening, just keep in mind it is a little bit deceiving. It may not be dry pavement where you are. Watch out, there could be some sneaky slick spots.
We're live here in Lansing, and conditions so much better than what they were earlier. Right now, we're not seeing those snowflakes flying, and the winds, those have settled. And that's just because the center of the system, where we don't see a lot of those higher wind speeds, that is right over the mid-Michigan region. So I'm going to bend down here, and I want to show you this snow that we picked up. Now, the snow earlier, it was just blowing all around the area, but right now, we don't have the winds to see that blow. And it's still fairly thick to where I can't just blow this straight out of my hands. So visibilities are also improved simply because of the winds, and we're no longer seeing the snow being picked up and taken all across highways and local roads across the area.
Here's how it was as I was coming in today. This is a time lapse of my drive in today, and you can see as I started out, the roadways were snow covered, so it was quite treacherous out there on the secondary roads. As we were moving along though and getting on Saginaw, that's when I started to notice some improvement. You could see MDOT, they've been out there clearing the highways. Now we've got one lane showing up, so it was improved even more so. But then as I was getting closer to 496, we still had that one lane, and it was snow covered at times, so you're driving along and things are okay, and then all of a sudden you hit some slick spots, and even where you had that little clear lane showing up, there were still some icy conditions under that, because I saw quite a few tapping their brakes and sliding just a little bit. So don't think because you see some dry or semi-dry looking pavement that it is not still icy out there. It certainly is.
The weather is our top story tonight at 11. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones, and I'm joined with our Chief Meteorologist David Young in our Weather Center tonight. Boy, it's been a crazy night for the weather team, hasn't it?
Well, it certainly has. Lots of wind, lots of rain, and as you said, the possibility of tornadoes out there. Hit hard tonight just west of Sunfield. Reports of damage there. We sent out our meteorologist Diane Phillips. That's where she is. Sunfield Township on M43 joins us live right now. Diane, how does it look out there?
Right now we are on M43 between M50 and M66, where the road is closed because of significant damage as this area was hit hard by severe storms earlier tonight. Taking a look maybe behind me, you can see that there was some significant damage to a couple of homes. There's a roof that has shingles lost, and even a barn across the street lost a roof as well. That's why you can see that the shingles are spread across the area.
Lansing police are under fire tonight after a video showing an officer striking a 16-year-old girl is posted online. It's our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson.
And I'm Sherry Jones. Tonight, Lansing Police Chief Mike Yankowski says it was standard procedure.
He held a press conference this afternoon. Kaylee Marintet was there and is here for you now live outside the Lansing Police Department. So Kaylee, what is the latest tonight?
Police were called out earlier this afternoon to the 1100 block of Dakin. They took the 16-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy into custody for probation violations. Before the incident, the girl had already escaped custody. Police say the 16-year-old has probation violations, was listed as a runaway from the Ingham County Youth Home, and had outstanding warrants. They're also reviewing the situation. But the mother says after seeing the videos of her daughter getting punched in the leg several times by a female officer, she thinks they need to reconsider how they handle situations like this.
I'm appalled. I saw the press conference. Standard procedure. If I punched my kid like that, it would be child abuse. So I don't see how a stranger can restrain a child by punching them.
Anytime there's an allegation against a member of the Lansing Police organization, we take those allegations and complaints very serious. We will thoroughly investigate the complaints that have been filed today against the officer.
The 16-year-old was taken into the Ingham County Youth Home, and I'll have more for you tonight at 6 News at 11 about why this all happened. Here for you in Lansing, Kaylee Marintet, 6 News. Sherry and Lauren, back to you.
Well, Lansing Mayor Andy Shore issued a statement on this issue today, saying the city holds its officers to high standards and that complaints against Lansing police officers are taken very seriously.
More than a month since a video went viral showing a police officer striking a 16-year-old girl multiple times in the leg during an arrest. The video caused a big debate in the local community, with many demanding the officers involved be fired.
Today we learned that won't happen. Police Chief Mike Yankowski says while mistakes were made, there were, quote, lessons learned. Kara Hay joins us now live in the newsroom. So Kara, what is next for the officers?
Yeah, the officers will remain on the force, but they're not completely off the hook. During the press conference today, Chief Yankowski went into detail about all the mishaps that took place during the arrest and the punishment these officers now face. The video is hard to watch. Officer Lindsay Howley is seen striking a 16-year-old girl in the leg a total of 17 times in 20 seconds. The viral video sparked a heated debate on whether the police were following protocol or if it was too much. Today, Lansing Police Chief Mike Yankowski said it was both.
At the end of the day, the bottom line is that we could have done better in this situation.
The chief says while hitting the girl with a closed fist was protocol, Officer Howley should have used another technique when it was clear that that tactic wasn't working. Howley now faces a 3-day suspension for a total of 30 hours with no pay, and she will have to complete 10 hours of additional training. Chief Yankowski says Officer Bailey Uberoth didn't call for backup at the appropriate times and did not secure the girl properly into her handcuffs. He will also complete additional training and will be on probation for the next 6 months.
Chief Yankowski has served the Lansing Police Department since 1994. Now he says it's time to focus on his family.
Brittany Flowers is here for you now with a look at the chief's career here in the capital city and who will step up to take his place.
The city of Lansing made me a better person.
Lansing Police Chief Mike Yankowski has served the capital city for 25 years.
Through the course of the last couple months, I've really gone on a journey, and that journey has really taken me to the end.
One way or another, it looks like John Engler will soon be out as the interim president of MSU. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson. A special meeting of the board has been called for tomorrow morning, and MSU trustee Brian Musalem has said, quote, if Engler doesn't resign, we are going to vote to remove him.
Trustee Joel Ferguson says the board is expecting a resignation letter from John Engler at any time.
This comes as the Board of Trustees call for an emergency meeting tomorrow where they reportedly plan to fire Engler if he doesn't step down first.
Kaylee Marintet has been following the story today. She's here for you now with the very latest. Kaylee, what can you tell us?
Sherry and Lauren, Board of Trustees Chair Diane Byram says after Engler's comments last week, something had to be done. Interim school president John Engler on the way out. It comes after yet another controversial comment he made about Nassar survivors, saying some of them are still enjoying that moment in the spotlight.
It really is a step backward because of his actions, his comments, and it creates an environment where it's very difficult to move forward and for people to heal, particularly the survivors.
John Engler answers the MSU Board of Trustees' request that he step down. Earlier tonight, he let the board know his last day will be next Wednesday, January 23rd. He's leaving MSU just shy of a year as its interim president. The Board of Trustees appointed him to the job January 31st of last year. He took over for Luana K. Simon, who stepped down as university president in the wake of the Larry Nassar sexual assault scandal. Our Dana White has been following this story. She's here for you now live in our studio. Dana, what more can you tell us about this?
Sherry, interim President Engler sent this letter to Trustee Diane Byram tonight, saying he's going to do what the majority of the board is asking him to do, resign from his position. The Board of Trustees meet tomorrow morning, and several members told Engler they were going to fire him if he didn't resign tonight.
Former Michigan State University President Luana K. Simon was back in court today. It's day 6 of her preliminary hearing, which has spanned several months now. Simon's charged with lying to police during their sexual assault investigation into former MSU sports doctor Larry Nassar. This morning, University trustee Brian Masalem took the stand. He testified that Simon was part of discussions about how to handle the case.
The verdict is in. A 12-person jury found former Michigan State University Dean William Strample guilty on 2 of the 3 charges he faced.
Strample was one of Larry Nassar's former bosses at MSU.
Kaylee Marentet is here for you now with what both sides have to say after that verdict was handed down.
They should be very proud. They stood up for themselves, they told the truth, and they were believed.
Prosecutors happy with the verdict in the William Strample trial today, but they didn't get all the convictions they hoped for.
Disappointed a little bit on the CSC conviction and the lack of conviction, but very pleased with the fact that these jurors heard these women, believed them, and held the defendant accountable for his behavior.
Strample was found guilty of 1 count of misconduct in office and 2 counts of willful neglect of duty, but a jury found him not guilty of second-degree criminal sexual conduct.
After months of waiting, a decision has been reached. Former Michigan State University President Luana K. Simon is headed to trial. It's our top story tonight at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones.
And I'm Lauren Thompson. An Eaton County judge ruled there is enough evidence for Simon to stand trial. She's accused of lying to police during their investigation into the university's handling of the Larry Nassar case.
Our Aaron Jordan has covered this story since day 1, and he's here for you now live in our newsroom. Aaron, what can you tell us tonight?
Sherry and Lauren, in this 6-page ruling by Eaton County District Court Judge Julie Ranke, she said Simon's statement to detectives that she did not know about Nassar specifically in 2014 appears to have impeded their investigation. Police say Simon lied when she said she wasn't aware of Nassar or the specific allegations in Amanda Tomashow's Title IX complaint until news broke about Nassar's crimes in 2016.
Customers tell us their vehicles are trapped inside a Mako in Lansing after it closed unexpectedly, and they aren't sure when the owners will be able to reopen the shop.
Kira Lake is here for you now with the story.
I've been here for 7 weeks. 7 weeks for me too, or more. It's been longer. It has.
Both Conrad Morrison and Douglas Scott dropped their vehicles off here at Mako. It's right off of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Lansing.
I know body work to be done right. You can't just rush a person to do that if you want a good job.
But after seeing this note, both are wondering when they'll see their vehicles again. It says, due to medical emergency, closed Monday, December 2nd. But it's now the 6th.
If there ain't nothing been open or nothing, or nobody called us to tell us that it's something wrong, or he passed away, or is he really sick, or nothing, you know. Just hope my vehicle's still in there, you know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while.
Kira Lake is here for you now to let you know we're not the only ones looking into this.
Customers brought their vehicles to this Mako here behind me on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and they still don't know when they're going to get their cars back. But one man is taking matters into his own hands.
I've called last week, and they just don't answer the phone, or if you get an answer, the person replies, we don't know what's going on down there.
6 News has learned the Michigan Secretary of State has started its own investigation into this matter. And Conrad Morrison says he's getting the Attorney General's office involved too.
This is for the Consumer Complaint Division. So hopefully that will help too to unlock these doors.
We have a busy week here at TV6. Audrey goes on the road to cover the Spartans in the NCAAs. Our March to Glory special is Wednesday night, and this show tonight to recap another historic day in Spartan hoops. The United Center, the stage for the 3rd matchup of the season between Michigan and Michigan State. Alex Sims in Chicago with a champion celebration.
Every basketball player comes to Michigan State with the dreams of cutting down the nets. And for the Spartans, they've now done it twice. What does that feel like?
Man, this feels great. Well, I mean, I live for championships. I mean, it's winning games ended about 20 years ago for me. You know, winning games is good, but it's just not my cup of tea anymore, you know, and that's kind of sad. But I think it's kind of good. You know, I mean, you should aspire to be better each year, and the way you get better is to try to win a championship.
And you would imagine the Spartans would be a lock for a #1 seed after beating Michigan 3 times within a span of 3 weeks, with one of those wins being in the Big Ten tournament championship today. But the selection committee had other ideas. Take a look. You'll see Michigan State will pop up right there, the #2 seed in the East region, and will play Thursday in Des Moines, Iowa against Bradley. The other issue is this is also the same region Duke is in. The Blue Devils are the top seed in the East and overall #1 seed. It left Tom Izzo feeling a bit perplexed.
And you're watching Fifth Quarter on 6 Sports.
For some hoops. My goodness, happy Friday. And as always, thanks for starting your weekend with us by tuning into the Fifth Quarter. I'm Audrey Dahlgren.
Yeah, and I'm Alex Sims. We have a lot of big games tonight, but this one tops the chart, Audrey. The unbeaten East Lansing Trojans boys on the road to face a tough conference foes, the DeWitt Panthers. And well, let me tell you, this game lived up to all of its hype. The energy inside the DeWitt gym was electric. Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. Old St. Nick even stopping what he was doing to get in on some hoop action. We are going to pick this game up at the end of regulation. EL up 2 with a minute and change remaining, and get some insurance right here. Marcus Warman with this nice bounce pass down low to Malachi Matthews for 2, but DeWitt is able to tie it up right here, all thanks to Mason Gilbert knocking down 2 free throws. That's one of them right there. We are heading into overtime, folks. Just seconds in OT. Gilbert again coming up clutch, takes his time and puts it away. But it was this dagger made by EL's Andrell Anthony. What a shot right here. Wow, to get the Trojans a 3-point lead with just a minute and 44 remaining. DeWitt with one last shot to send this game into double OT, and no good. East Lansing holds on to win 58-55 in an overtime thriller and improve to a perfect 5-0.
This is Hidden History, celebrating Hispanic heritage in America.
Hello, and thank you for joining us as 6 News takes an in-depth look into America's Hispanic heritage and how this culture found its way to Michigan. I'm Jorma Durand.
Well, you know, things change. They never change as fast as we want them to change. We still have a lot of problems. But they change gradually, and you know, we're still besieged with the problems of employment and equal opportunities. The issue of education is very, very dear to us. That goes slow, and we have to work harder at that. Tenemos nosotros en esa sociedad un cáncer. El cáncer es el cáncer del racismo. No somos la única nación del mundo que tenemos eso. Si no hay racismo, hay clasismo, pero en este caso aquí hay racismo y es difícil.
6 News presents Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones. Tonight we remember our nation's heroes, those who fought, and many who died to protect the freedoms we all enjoy today.
It's a place to honor those who have fallen and serve as a reminder that not all heroes walk on 2 legs.
If those 4 paws are on the ground, then all our 2-legged soldiers are that much safer.
Dozens of people and fellow soldiers came together last month in South Lyon to pay tribute to a one-of-a-kind war dog. Meet Jig. He served in the Marine Corps for 7 years, beginning in 2006, spending time overseas while serving our country.
On July 31st, Michiganian James McLuhan is awarded the Medal of Honor, a moment in time an old coach from South Haven says has changed his life dramatically.
It's been a whirlwind, but it's also been fun, and it's been something that is kind of hard. It's so surreal.
The cars kept coming, and so did the electronic waste. The computers, phones, printers, computers, microwaves, stereos, and did we mention computers? From every corner of your house or business, from so many parts of mid-Michigan, 6 News and 1-800-GOT-JUNK celebrated Earth Day 2019 collecting tons of e-waste, all kept out of our Lansing area landfills.
Welcome back. We here at WLNS TV6 just wrapped up another very successful electronic waste recycling drive.
More than 10,000 pounds of e-waste is now out of people's homes and on its way to be recycled.
Siobhan Klepfer is here for you now with a recap of how things went today. Siobhan?
Hey ladies, well you said it, a very successful e-waste drive today. This is actually our second event. Our first one was held back in April. It was so successful we wanted to do it again, and wow, this one kind of blew that one out of the water. I just got the final totals in as well. This is our 10th truck that is 19 tons of electronic waste. This 10th truck almost full, and as you can see along the sidewalk, we still have a lot of e-waste to go.
I can't believe that 10 trucks. It was backed up on Saginaw. I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable. Lots of electronic waste out there.
That's absolutely right.
A Mid-Michigan family needed a little help with a place to live. Habitat for Humanity, the Women of 6 News, and a small army of volunteers all donated their time and skills with hammers, shovels, and even a chainsaw to get the labor of love done. After weeks of grueling hands-on work, this family can proudly call this beautiful house a home, a truly safe place, waiting for memories to be made. A little help from a community that cares. Habitat for Humanity, the Women Build Volunteers, and the Women of 6 News.
The women of TV6 teamed up today to pitch in for the annual Habitat for Humanity Capital Region Women Build event. Sherry Jones is still out at the house tonight. She's here for you now live. So, Sherry, how'd we do today?
Well, hi, Lauren. As you know, we did incredibly well. The TV6 women, they are incredible workers. Of us working in the bedrooms, of us ripping up the carpet, taking out the baseboards, taking off doors, stripping the carpet from the basement stairs. Everyone, all 20 of us worked together. It was an incredible team building exercise.
Thanks to the King Center in Jackson and the Geyer Community Center in Lansing for another successful Safety Day giveaway. Folks from all around mid-Michigan welcome 6 News. Hundreds of 6 News viewers were handed smoke alarms, ice scrapers, and other safety-related items. Here for you, 6 News.
We're here at the Geyer Community Center in Lansing for our annual Safety Day giveaway, where we gave away 500 smoke detectors, as well as various other items to help keep families safe.
I need these things because a lot of times I rent and the landlords don't really care enough to make sure that that these things are happening. So I go out myself and make sure that I'm safe.
When we asked for your help in feeding the less fortunate in mid-Michigan for our 6 News Day of Giving, you drove up, opened up, and stepped up with cash contributions and filling truckloads with donated food in just one day. Through the Greater Lansing Food Bank and the South Michigan Food Bank, thousands will be able to enjoy nutritious meals, along with a generous donation from Auto Owners Insurance.
And what a day it has been.
Helping our Mid-Michigan neighbors in time of need. Thank you, Mid-Michigan. 6 News, here for you.
Welcome back. We are taking time today to help you help our community by hosting our annual Day of Giving. We're collecting non-perishable food and money outside of our station in Lansing near US 127 in Saginaw and outside the Consumers Energy headquarters in downtown Jackson. But we're going to begin in Lansing, where Jorma Duran is out helping to collect your donations right now in front of our studio. How's it going out there, Jorma?
Siobhan, we're doing remarkably well. Look at all this food that's been donated, and it's not just this. Check this out. These huge boxes back here, this one, and the one behind it, totally packed full with non-perishable food. An awesome start to this 12th annual Day of Giving. Kim Harkness, come and join me really quick. She's the Director of Operations. You just kind of got here. How do you determine, how's it going so far?
Well, to me, I think it's doing amazing. I think just wonderful. Looking at all the cars coming through here, looking at seniors, looking at little kids coming up. Yeah. So community support, that's amazing for us.
We're also down in Jackson in front of the headquarters at Consumers Energy. That's where Melissa Brennan is. Melissa, how's it going down there?
But I am out in Jackson right now at the Consumers Energy headquarters. You can take a look. Now, we are out here. I'm with Summer from the South Michigan Food Bank, and we've been out here all morning. We've got a lot of donations, but I really want to talk about how easy it is. So tell us a little bit about, really, it couldn't be easier.
Yeah, we're right here at Consumers Energy. We have circle drives. You can drive up, you can drive right by our van and drop off your donation, cash donation, credit card donation, food donation, and credit card donation is super easy.
Our neighbors in Portland experienced a state of emergency as a Grand River ice jam flooded downtown businesses and forced families to flee.
Get what we could get, and we had to leave.
6 News reported all day from Portland and collected donations as community members tried to recover from this disaster.
It's hard to see this happen.
6 News would like to thank those that did donate and remind you that you can still help with relief efforts at WLNS.com. 6 News, here for Portland, here for you.
We're here for Portland today. 6 News crews have been in that city all day getting updates and raising money for the situation there. Siobhan Kleffer is here for you now with more on how the community has really come together.
By now, you've heard of the flooding situation here in the city of Portland. It's been devastating for a lot of people. The flooding has impacted homes, it's flooded businesses, it's impacting city functions. Just about maybe a week to 10 days ago, I'm told that ice from the Grand River here was all the way up to the bottom of the bridge. And in fact, the city had to close all 3 bridges because of 3 major ice jams. So as you can see, we've made a lot of progress here in the city of Portland, but still major flood concerns right now. The danger is far from over. We talked to the city manager just a little bit ago. Still worried about this weekend, temperatures, wind, and there is the chance for more flooding. So asking people here in the city to be very vigilant and be prepared to evacuate.
Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 6.
Today is a historic day. For just the 3rd time in American history, the U.S. House is getting ready to vote on articles of impeachment. And the president and vice president are right here in mid-Michigan preparing to give their response. It is our top story tonight at 6. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones.
And I'm Lauren Thompson. The debate over impeachment is nearing its end, and a vote in the House could happen at any time.
You can watch that debate live right here on WLNS.com. And if the vote on impeachment happens during this newscast tonight, we'll cut in and bring it to you live.
And as that is happening in D.C., President Trump is holding a Merry Christmas rally in Battle Creek. That's where we find Kaylee Maritat. She's here for you now live from the Kellogg Arena. Kaylee, what's the mood like there so far?
Sherry and Lauren, we've already heard from a lot of guest speakers tonight, including Speaker of the House Lee Chatfield and Chairman of the Michigan Republican Party Laura Cox, who have really been getting this crowd riled up, mostly talking about the impeachment articles. Now, we are only an hour away from when the rally is officially supposed to begin at 7 o'clock, but I actually just got a chance to speak to the communications director of the Trump 2020 campaign, and he says these impeachment articles are actually just motivating Republicans more to come out and support the president and drive them more to the polls to re-elect him in 2020.
Americans don't like it. Michiganders don't like it when one political party decides that they know best and decide to take the choice out of the hands of the voters. We've got an election less than a year away, and the Democrats in Washington want to tell the people of Michigan, you don't get to vote to re-elect this president if you want to. You don't get that choice. We in Washington, D.C., we Democrats, we're the ones who are going to make that choice. That is not an easy sell, and I don't think they can credibly make the case to the people of Michigan.
I did get the chance to talk to some protesters outside who are very anxious to hear what President Trump has to say, along with the supporters inside. But we'll have more for you tonight on 6 News at 11, along with WLNS.com. I'll be doing some Facebook Lives to keep you guys updated on what's going on here. Here for you now in Battle Creek. Kaylee Maritat, 6 News. Sherry and Lauren, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kaylee. Well, the Merry Christmas rally is drawing a lot of supporters to Battle Creek, but as Kaylee mentioned, the president's opponents are also making an appearance.
Yes, a handful of protesters gathered outside the Kellogg Arena to voice their disapproval. The demonstrators stood in the snow carrying protest signs and taking turns speaking about how they believe the Trump administration has fallen short in America and in Battle Creek specifically.
Donald Trump has come to town once again. I think it's a desperate attempt to try to shore up support here on the west side of the state, where we've made some terrific inroads as Democrats. We've got great folks running and great folks on the ground doing work every day, knocking doors and making phone calls. And we wanted to make sure that he saw that Michigan is not for him this time. You know, we're going to take this state back and take this country back.
Organizers say they want to turn Calhoun County and the entire state blue in the 2020 election.
Well, Vice President Mike Pence is also at that rally tonight after spending the day traveling across mid-Michigan in his tour bus.
The vice president landed in Saginaw, where he spoke at a Workers for Trump rally this morning. Then he actually made 2 surprise stops in Frankenmuth.
I was able to travel in the motorcade today and got an exclusive one-on-one interview with Vice President Pence. We spoke about a number of things, but on this big day in Washington, we mainly focused on the impeachment proceedings before Congress. Strong words today from Vice President Mike Pence on the impeachment proceedings in D.C.
Well, what's happening in Washington, D.C. is a disgrace.
For the second time in 2 weeks, the Vice President sat down for an exclusive interview with 6 News on what could be a historic day in Washington.
As the vote goes through the Congress today, we expect these articles of impeachment will pass.
But the Vice President says that passage will fall solely along party lines.
The first truly partisan impeachment in American history is essentially an attempt to overturn the results of the 2016 election. They're essentially saying to the people of Michigan and America that they know better.
But even as impeachment in the House looks likely, the Vice President says he's confident this movement will end in the Senate early next year and believes that President Donald Trump will still be securely in office.
If this matter makes it to the Senate, we expect them to be able to deal with it fairly quickly, dispatch this impeachment effort, this partisan impeachment effort, and get back to the business of the American people.
Wow, what an experience for you to travel with the Vice President today.
It really is an exciting thing to be a part of, to get a behind-the-scenes look at the process and how the Secret Service works and all that goes into having a Vice President or a President come to town. And as we said, this is actually the second time in just 2 weeks that I was able to travel with the Vice President and speak with him. And we did cover other topics today as well. And Michigan's role, of course, in the 2020 election is something else that we touched on, and we'll share with you tonight what the Vice President had to say about that on 6 News at 11.
All right, we look forward to it. Thanks, Lauren. Well, the vote on the impeachment of President Trump is expected to begin at any point tonight.
And as you would expect, other Michigan lawmakers are weighing in on that process today, too.
Our team coverage continues this evening with Luke Snyder. He's here for you now live in our newsroom with that part of the story.
After weeks of testimony related to the president's dealings with Ukraine, all eyes are on Capitol Hill at this hour to see if the president will be impeached. And Michigan lawmakers were front and center on the House floor today. 2 of the more vocal Congress people were Republican Congressman Tim Walberg and Democrat Rashida Tlaib.
You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic for your own selfish, personal, political, and partisan gain.
Doing nothing here, Madam Speaker, is not an option. Looking away from these crimes against our country is not an option. This is about protecting the future of our nation and our democracy from corruption, abuse of power, criminal cover-ups, and bribery.
If the vote passes, President Trump will become only the 3rd president to be impeached. Sherry and Lauren, back to you.
All right, thank you, Luke. We'll stay with 6 News. We will bring you full coverage of the impeachment process as it happens, and we'll have the president's comments from Battle Creek tonight and more from our exclusive interview with Vice President Mike Pence. That's all coming up on 6 News at 11.
Tonight, many people are debating whether survivors of Larry Nassar's sexual abuse are being taken advantage of again, this time at the hands of an attorney.
A group of survivors suing USA Gymnastics is being charged nearly 40% more than clients of a similar case with the same lawyer. Kara Hay is here for you to explain why.
USA Gymnastics filed for bankruptcy last year, a move it says would help resolve about 100 lawsuits from more than 350 Larry Nassar sexual abuse survivors. But in turn, the women had to hire an attorney who specializes in bankruptcy claims. They hired James Stang. According to the Washington Post, he's charging them $1,145 an hour, a fee a judge approved, but other attorneys in his field say is too much.
His competitors said, look, there's no reason why that case should cost $1,000 an hour.
Will Hobson, a reporter with the Washington Post, says lawyers of abuse victims typically discount their fees. Stang isn't. Well, at least not for the Nassar survivors. Stang also represents abuse victims of Catholic priests, and he's charging them 35 to 40% less.
Experts we spoke to said that there's no real legal reason that why working on this case should be any more complicated or expensive or time-consuming than working on the Catholic bankruptcy.
But Hobson says ultimately it could have all come down to negotiations.
But the victims in the Catholic cases he was working with drove a harder bargain than the Nassar victims.
Most of the Nassar survivors Hobson spoke with say
he charges more, but he's going to win them more at the end.
If things change and Nassar survivors feel the fee is too much, they can file an objection in court. But as of now, Hobson hasn't heard anyone is considering. Here for you in Lansing, Kiara Hay, 6 News.
This is Weather First from Storm Tracker 6, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance for whatever lies ahead.
Well, breathe easy as far as the cold weather is concerned. This winter chill that's here today is not here to stay. We've got much warmer weather on the horizon. Holiday lights picture time. Another beautiful video coming to us from the Patterson family on Vandercook Lake. Happy holidays to you as well. You have got a spectacular looking display there. I love it. To have your holiday pictures featured in our newscast, go to Facebook. You can search for WLNS6 Lights and post your pictures there, and still plenty of time to get a lot more photos on the air. Satellite and radar snow showers continue off to our southwest. It's really been coming down over the past 12 to 18 hours or so. As we take the broader view, you can see some snow showers northwestern, lower Michigan, and a few in the UP as well, but it will be winding down fairly soon. Our temperatures out this afternoon, obviously very cold. 12 the airport observation Lansing, 12 Mason, 14 in Howell, but we're not going to fall a lot late tonight and may even rise a bit by tomorrow morning. If you're out on the area streets, in pretty good shape overall, but still some secondary roads will have some slick spots here and there. WLNS Tower Cam 127 appears to be moving along at normal speeds. Temperature 14 degrees. Our feels like temperature also 14. In Grand Ledge, just a hint of sunshine, a star out there. Isn't that a beautiful shot? Except for it's really cold outside. 13 degrees the current temperature. Winds calm. Peak wind earlier today 34 miles per hour, so it was quite breezy at times. On the Jackson Cam, more or less the same shot. Beautiful sky. Temperature 14 degrees, but a wind chill feels like 4 degrees outside. Bundle up if you are heading out this evening. Wind chill in Hillsdale is at 8, west winds at 5, and a current temperature sitting at 14 degrees. So we check out Precision Cast tonight through tomorrow morning. Lake effect shuts down. A quiet start, and temperatures will actually warm into the mid-teens through 7 o'clock. So even by 7, it's starting to head back in the right direction. By tomorrow afternoon, we're in the low 30s, a mix of clouds and sunshine outside. Thursday night into Friday morning should be fairly quiet once again as well. No major storm systems in the region right through much of the week and into the weekend as well, into early next week. Not a whole lot happening. The only thing we're watching for is to see if this cloud cover can break up just a little bit. If it does on Saturday, we'll see high temperatures climbing into the 40s. Here's the forecast for tonight. Partly cloudy, cold, overnight low 10 degrees. That'll occur right around midnight. 16 by 7 o'clock, low 30s by 4 o'clock. Winds tomorrow occasionally as high as around 15 miles per hour. There's the 6-day forecast. 34 on Friday, 41 Saturday, mid-40s Sunday, Monday, and lower 40s on Tuesday for Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, 38, starts to cool off. And then a few rain showers Thursday, and cold enough to mix in a few snow showers, and eventually all snow showers by next Monday, but I still don't see certainly not a major winter storm anytime soon. Traffic tracker this afternoon, all quiet across the Lansing area as well as Jackson. No major issues out there, no matter what direction you're headed. So that is great news. Been pretty quiet traffic-wise this week, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and that accident we were following up on 69 is cleared up as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful sunset. So, hey.
For just a few degrees warmer.
Oh, it is just brutally cold today.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, David.
Well, Governor Gretchen Whitmer held a roundtable for reporters today to talk about her first year in office, and we'll tell you what she had to say right after the break.
And here's a live look right now at the impeachment debate happening on Capitol Hill. 6 News at 6. We'll be right back. Governor Gretchen Whitmer met with reporters today to talk about her first year in office, which she says has been a wild ride with many ups and downs.
Our Capitol correspondent Tim Skubic was at the year-end roundtable where the governor also weighed in on the impeachment process in D.C.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer, along with the rest of the nation, is watching this historic day unfold in the nation's capital over the impeachment of the president. Democratic Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin handled this issue correctly, according to the governor, promising to take a deep dive before she made a decision. The governor says Ms. Slotkin is getting it right by voting yes.
I have a great deal of admiration for her, and if I were in her position and was having to make that choice, I too would make the vote that she is going to be making.
Back home, the governor promises a brand new road package in the new year, finally throwing in the towel on that plan that, well, didn't do too well this year.
To do the same thing in year two, I think would probably not be wise.
Meanwhile, some progressive Democrats, such as Senator Jeff Irwin and a host of others, are talking about installing a graduated income tax, a longtime favor of Democrats, including this one.
There's a lot of conversation in town around that. I know that there are a lot of stakeholders that are interested in going to the ballot with something of that nature. I know that a lot of legislators on the Democratic side have been talking about that, and that's something that I've supported and many different times in my political career, and I suppose that could be a solution.
The governor started the new year with high hopes of working well with the Republican legislature to get things done. She says it was a wild ride, up and down, and she did learn something.
I'm not perfect. I certainly have learned a lot in this process. I think that the way that we expend my time, the way that I am engaged with people across our state and business across our state is something that's important, and becoming, I think, a better manager of that time and putting our priorities where they really need to be, I think, is something that we'll hone and improve upon.
The governor has one more year-end interview to do as she sits down at the executive residence for a one-hour chat on WKAR's Evening with the Governor, and get a full report on what she said right here on News 6. Here for you in Lansing, Tim Skubic, 6 News.
Well, Audrey will join us after the break with sports. She's going to fill us in on Mark D'Antonio's busy morning.
He welcomed 19 new Spartans to Michigan State's football program. She'll have those details next.
This is the LaFontaine Automotive Group 6 Sports Desk.
By 10 a.m. this morning, Mark D'Antonio had all 19 of his signees' national letters of intent in his hands. And the one thing he made sure to point out about Michigan State's 2020 recruiting class is how almost every player had an extremely productive senior season. Many won state championships with their high schools. If you break down this class by position group, there are 8 offensive players, 10 defensive guys, and 1 special teams player and kicker Jack Olson from Wheaton, Illinois. But this isn't it. D'Antonio says this class could end up being anywhere from 21 to 25 players after the traditional signing day takes place in February. But as of right now, this class ranks 42nd in the country and 11th in the Big Ten. There's just one quarterback. His name is Noah Kim, and he just so happens to have a black belt in karate.
How many quarterbacks do you know that have a black belt in karate?
I have none to my knowledge. So, but that was exciting to hear. I think he competed from maybe his 3rd grade and through his 9th grade year. I just asked him if he ever broke a board. He said, yeah. I said that was good enough.
So going off of that then, how does a skill like that translate to the football field, especially at that position in terms of maybe his footwork and being able to be creative, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I think as much as anything, it's the discipline that goes along with it. And in a quarterback position, you need to be disciplined. You need to be very confident in yourself, very aware of your surroundings. I think that probably carries over from karate. I don't know that to be true. I'm not an expert, but I would think that holds that value. And then also, I think he is a quick twitch guy, and you can see that on film.
Here in town, Williamston's Eston Miles made it official with Western Michigan University, meaning the 6'3", 310-pound defensive tackle will be taking his talents to Kalamazoo next fall. He's just the 3rd football player to come out of Willie and play at the Division I level. And to think it may have never happened. He was a very good junior varsity baseball player and thought that was the route he initially wanted to take until his dad convinced him otherwise.
10th grade. I wasn't going to play, and then he said, no, just give it one more try, and then I got my mom on board to let me quit, and he fought it, and then, I had a good season, and then, it kind of took off from there.
Saw him as a freshman, 8th grader in reality, and just to see his development over time. As a sophomore, he was making plays on the varsity, but really his junior year, he kind of made that big step of like, wow, this guy is 300 pounds. He's a big dude, and he can run down the line and make tackles, and he's hard to block.
By the way, Miles has a heck of a handshake. All right, time to shift our focus to the MSU men's basketball team, and that's because the 15th ranked Spartans are just a few hours away from trying to do what no other team in the Big Ten has been able to accomplish this season, and that's get a win on the road. As expected, we were able to confirm, though, that freshman shooting guard Rocket Watts will not play tonight against Northwestern, which means those minutes are going to go to sophomores Gabe Brown and Aaron Henry. Northwestern may be at the bottom of the Big Ten standings, but that means absolutely nothing with a 13-way tie going on in the conference heading into tonight's tilt. And there's this.
They got good players that came back. They got a good coach. They got a good offense, good defense, and they're a tough team. They can rebound, they can run, they can defend. It's going to be a tough game, but I know both teams are going to compete.
They look a lot, more stronger and just more active, I would say, on both ends of the floor. And they've always competed, and we've had trouble there in the past. But just one of those teams that's always executed well, from even their plays on offense to the out-of-bounds plays they run. They just are just a well fundamental team.
That game starts at 8 o'clock tonight. It's in Evanston, and of course, we will have all the highlights tonight at 11. That's it for sports. We'll be back after the break.
Well, the Christmas tree is set. The packages are under the tree. Now, what about the weather?
Well, Santa's going to need some rollers on his sleigh because it doesn't look great. Here's just kind of an early look at the forecast. We've talked about it, though. Temperatures in the upper 30s, and this year, maybe not so much a white Christmas as a green Christmas. All the snow we've got.
Melted.
He did, but, it's magic. He'll come back. 40s as we head into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It gets colder by Christmas Day, but really no chance, I don't think, of any snow on the ground.
Yeah, that is one dry 6 day, isn't it?
I know, pretty unusual.
Did the stockings have our names on it?
They did.
I caught that.
Very good.
So special.
Jerry Jones.
Super creative, David.
Right. Thanks, David. Well, that's our time for now. Stay tuned for 6 News at 11.